Welcome to AEHL Rinkside. This time we're chatting with Terry Sydoryk, head coach of the AC, the Airdrie Cochrane Avalanche U16 AAA program. First off, Terry, obviously this is a year that we've never seen before and probably don't care to see again. But given everything that's gone on in 2020, 2021, as it were, what are some of the challenges you've been dealing with? And I guess even on the flip side, some of the opportunities that the current season has thrown your way?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for the opportunity, Troy. It definitely has been, as you alluded to, a different approach this year than in past years. So it has had benefits and it also has some challenges as well. So for us, clearly up front, the later start, the opportunity to work with the players in a development scenario allowed us to kind of advance the early stage of a typical season. But as we progressed and wanted to take some of those development environments into real game scenarios, that's where the challenges became evident. In that we were obviously focused on a single competition with a team for an extended period of time before moving on to the next, which we never did. But at the same time, what it did was challenged us to go through a very condensed situation over a short period of time, which then doesn't allow for that adoption and subsequently development in between games that, as a coach, you'd like to see.
How do you think your players have responded to it? Obviously, they want to be in game action as much as possible, but have you found that they've done well, all things considered?
I think in general, yes. I mean, we're all dealing with this. And obviously, the cohort of individuals, whether at the U15, U16, or U18 within our association, are fairly tight and well known. And so the opportunity to kind of interface across those groups, seeing that we're all faced with the same things. I saw sort of a generalization across in terms of what we can do as individuals, what we can do as teams to kind of advance the development given these challenging times. So I think the guys adopted fairly well, but clearly eager to get on the rink. I mean, we had one series with the Okotoks team, a 3-game series. We ended up with 2 exhibitions prior to that. And the game is something that all the players at this level want to get into as quickly as possible. So the longer we stretched that out, the more challenging and frustrated the group became.
How has your coaching philosophy sort of evolved over the years?
Great question, Troy. One of the things, obviously, that's changed is the makeup of the individuals that are part of the team. So I've made a lot of changes in terms of how I conduct myself, as well as look to the assistant coaches in their philosophies as well. But development-wise, we've moved to a lot more of the small area games during practice times as sort of a tactical change. But at the same time, more engagement with the players. Asking them versus telling them becomes a key attribute. One of the things also is just working towards ensuring that we emphasize the positive, make it a fun environment, and then a strong focus on creating the right culture in the room and a bonding between the individuals. At the end of the day, one of the things I messaged to the parents as well as the players early on, this is about your development. This is about where you want to go. So if you're willing to make the investment, we'll support you. We'll give you the tools. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. So that is carried constantly through, everything from the practice time we have to the pregame discussions that we have. But a big emphasis on putting that responsibility and accountability back into the dressing room and back onto the players themselves.
Sticking on the theme of evolution, as it were, Terry, obviously the AEHL model, still fairly new. It's still kind of evolving as it goes along. But what are some of the changes, the positive changes you've seen at that AAA level since the AEHL model came in?
Yeah, big supporter. One of the things that, in this program or at the AAA level is that you're identified as being on the elite stream. And so the alignment at the provincial level and then obviously at the national level becomes more important. One of the things, having been a part of some of the Hockey Alberta initiatives in the past, is we carried that message in prior to becoming part of the AEHL in terms of the philosophy, the communication, and what the players have to be focused on to be successful as they progress through their career. To me, falling under the AEHL just makes that simpler. Number one, it's an alignment of all of the elite programs in the province. So U15, U16, U18 teams. It's a standard place. I get to see what's going on. It's not fragmented. And subsequently, the messaging become far more consistent. And I think that just makes it easier for the players that are aspiring to continue to develop their hockey careers It's a common message, a common theme. They get to see it all the way through as they progress. So it's a fantastic move from my perspective.
Another Hockey Alberta event that you've had involvement with over the years is the Alberta Cup, and we've seen that evolve into a fun event. I know I've been there to watch it in Red Deer, watch the best players at that age level go into the province. How much fun has that event been to be a part of over the years, Terry? And what have you taken from that in terms of developing yourself as a coach?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to basically emphasize the value of from a coaching perspective, but let me start first with the players. That's to me where that constant and standard messaging that comes through Alberta hockey. And one of the things you'll see is obviously as the players progress is the importance of understanding the difference between, I'll say, league play and short-term competition. And the emphasis through Alberta Cup sets you up for that. So every year when I watch the National Junior program and how that tournament unfolds during the Christmas break, that's what runs through my mind. The importance of what it is that makes a team successful. Everything from coming together as quickly as you can and to understand that in a short-term competition, it's totally different than how you would look at it from a long-term perspective. From a coaching, ability to work and collaborate with other coaches, like-minded coaches. It's a very structured program. We get mentors, which is fantastic. We're put through a program to set up and ensure that there was a development scenario for the teams that we're responsible for, on ice, off ice. It's a very concentrated and focused effort over that period of time. And the experience is phenomenal. I don't think I've met another coach that hasn't, in essence, aligned with that kind of thinking. So it's great. It's great from our perspective, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic experience for the players.
Sounds great. Finally, one last question for you, Terry. And I don't know if it's going to be an easy one to answer or not, but what's the one thing, or is there even one thing that continues to drive you as a coach? What, I guess, is it that keeps bringing you to the rink day after day after day to work with these youngsters?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of things, and I get asked that quite a bit, obviously, having gone through sort of the tenure that I have and where I am. For me, there's a selfish aspect for sure. If I'm not being challenged in learning, I find that I don't have the motivation, but that's what I get when I work through a program like this. So from a personal perspective, what drives me as a volunteer coach is very much that opportunity to continue to hone and develop my personal skills. At the same time, when you're working with players and at the U16 level, it's a very unique situation. We get these guys for 1 year. There's not a multi-year kind of scenario. So 1 year, and we get to watch a group of 19 players go through a development program and then subsequently watch as they progress through the year. So when you reach that situation where you take that raw group of individuals, put them into a team environment, work with them, and then have success at the back of the year, and success not necessarily wins and losses, but a group that is works well together, developed substantially over the year, that's extremely rewarding for any coach. And so that's something for me that's a driver year after year.
That's awesome, Terry. Well, I've learned a lot here in the last few minutes getting to know you and hear about your coaching philosophy. Thanks very much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Troy. I appreciate the opportunity.